starting on page 1 of your worksheets packet, you're going to have your 5 artboards set up. Make sure you can see your layers window and your color window. So layers is this icon right here. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that out so I can view the entire thing. And then here my color, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out and view the entire thing there. So I have my color shown and my layers showing. Make sure page 1 is selected and lock all of other layers. So you can toggle the lock here to make sure this is locked. I'm going to be working on artboard 1 for my page 1. Go ahead and use the zoom tool to zoom into that first page. To start, the first shape you're going to create is a white square with a black outline. So I'm going to go to my shapes tool right here. If I click and hold, there are all my tools there. I'm going to go to my rectangle tool. To make a perfect square, you hold shift. So I'm going to go ahead and hold shift. My square automatically made it white fill with a black stroke. So I don't have to worry about changing that now. If I move on to my second shape, I can either create a whole new rectangle or a whole new square with the rectangle tool, or I can just copy and paste. So to copy with your selection tool, select your square, edit, copy, edit, paste, and I'll just place that right next to it. If you remember, another way to do that is to copy. A keyboard shortcut is Control C, and to paste, Control V. So now this square I says to create a color with no outline. So if I go into my color here, I'm just going to fill it with a random color. My stroke is going to be none. Next one, create a square with a color and a black outline. Again, I can just copy and paste this, or I can create a new square. This one says to create a color with a black outline. I have a color. Now I need to change my stroke to black. And I have my first row completed. Going down to my second row, it says to create a perfect circle with a black outline. So you're going to go to your shapes tool, the ellipse tool, and remember, to make a perfect circle, you're going to hold shift. Change my fill color to white. It now says to create an oval with a black outline. I can't just copy and paste this because it's a perfect circle, and now I'm creating an oval. So I'm going to go back to my ellipse tool and to create an oval. Again, it's already set to white fill, black outline. Next one says to create an oval with a black outline and rotate it diagonally. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste the oval I already have. Instead of going to edit at the top, I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Command C, Command V. When I hover over the top right corner, I get this little arch here. That's how I can rotate it. If I hold shift, I'll rotate to a perfectly 90-degree, 45-degree angle. Moving down to the third row, it says to create an angular or geometric shape with the pen tool and fill it with a color and outline. Pen tool is located here. I'm going to click the pen tool. And when I use the pen tool to start out with, I like to have a black stroke and no fill, so I'm just going to change that fill to none. A geometric shape is a shape that has hard edges. No curves, all straight angles. So I'm just going to go ahead and create any shape here. Doesn't matter what kind of shape. To close the path, I go right back to that very first point that I made, and you'll notice by the pen tool it has a little circle shows up. That means you're about to close a path and create a shape. It says to create this shape with a fill and an outline. It already has an outline. Let's go to the fill and let's do yellow. It has to be selected. Next, create an organic shape with the pen tool and fill it with a color and an outline. So I'm going to go to the pen tool again. Remember, when you use the pen tool, it's always good to start without a fill. First point, I click and let go. Second point with an organic shape, I click and hold the pen tool and I drag. You do not have to create an identical shape to the shape on the packet. You just kind of create whatever shape you can just to kind of get an idea of how the pen tool works. And now to close the shape again, right back to that first point that you made. And now you have your shape closed. Going back to my selection tool, I'll select the shape I just made and fill it with a color. The last thing you're creating on page 1 is to create 5 lines, make each line or stroke a different weight. So I'm going to go to my pen tool, going to take my fill off, and I'm going to make a single line and go back to my selection tool. I created one line already. Instead of having to go back to my pen tool and creating multiple more lines, what I think I want to do is just copy and paste. So I'm going to Command C or Control C, Control V to paste. And I'm going to do this 5 times. Move that down. It says to create each line with a different weight. So I'm going to select my stroke here, select this line here, and go up to stroke and change each one to a different weight. So here's my stroke, and here's the stroke weight. If you hover over it, it shows you. And that covers how to complete page 1.